What's good, everyone? It's your main correspondent, Alan Taylor, and I'm back in the broadcast room. So this is what we at here. So we have a young lady here that, is I'm assuming that she's of Asian descent, but I'm saying, from what little bit that I did gather, I think that she's, definitely an American here, and her family came over here, through legal means. So, but listen, look, we're going to listen to what she has to say, and we're going to figure some things out. Quarters, nickels, and dimes, people.
I don't want any illegal immigrants in my country. Sorry. And that's the case in almost every other country. You realize that the consequences in everywhere but America for coming in illegally are 100 times worse. Right? 100 times worse. Some of you guys do not understand the fact that you have to do things right. If you're going to step into another country, right? It says on your passport, open up your US passports if you have one. If you go into another country and you break their law, you are to abide by the justice system.
Right. And I can't help but to agree with what she's saying. Listen, look, man, these are facts out here. When you go to another country, or you go anywhere else in the world, years ago, back in the 90s, I think it was some young men that went to Singapore, and they didn't abide by the rules in Singapore, and they got caned as punishment because I think they was out there spray painting cars, stuff like that. This was back in the 90s, I think. But it goes to show, when you go to other countries and you don't abide by their laws and their regulations, there's going to be punishment. But recently here, we've been dealing with a lot of this, allowing illegals into our country, where it definitely, the past administration has allowed illegals into our country, stuff like that. They were even flying them in at one point, giving them false status and things like that. And we have a lot of people that came over here from other countries legally. They went through the process, they paid the money and things like that it takes to come over here to be legal citizens. They learned the language, they did their due diligence to actually want to be a part of this country, to want to be a actual American citizen, to want to do their part to help us become a better nation. And it's a disrespectful fact that, previously here with the past administration, that they've allowed these individuals to come in. They was actually flying them in and things like that, dropping them off and small towns and stuff like that. We remember the small town where they dropped the Haitians off in, over 20,000 Haitians in a small town and stuff like that. This was only a year or two ago. This hadn't been that long. And and America has disrespected our foreigners that have came over here legally, even recently and in the past, that have came over here legally, done the process, done the studies, did the work, did the processes that it took for them to come over here legally, paid the finances, all types of stuff. It's a hurtful thing. Whether you like this or not, it's a hurtful thing that we did that as Americans, and we've allowed our government to disrespect the foreigners that came over here legally and did the work to be here, because they want to be here. They want to help us as Americans. They want to see us thrive. They want to actually add on to the economy. They want to actually, be helpful and things like that, because they love what America actually stood for at one point. But we're here now. And I don't think that, we don't have the standing point that America once stood for. family, community, structure, stability. It's ridiculous to me. This is ridiculous. Hold on. I got to show you the cup. I got to show you the cup. Here we go right here. Hold on. My bad. You know what I'm saying? Hold on. Sorry. One Nation. Yeah. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. Y'all get it. It's crazy out here, man. But we have disrespected our foreigners that have come over here legally, paid their dues, learned the language, tried to integrate into us over here. Even though as Americans, we have our own issues and things like that. And we know we do. We know we do. But they still want to come over here legally. Let's keep going here. Let's keep going.
No questions asked. My father, my mother, they both came here legally. Okay, y'all want to talk about me being an immigrant? Let's talk about me being an immigrant. My father fought in the Iraqi war, got shot in the fucking arm, almost fucking died, okay? To come here, to get his citizenship here, to be allowed here, okay?
Shout out to her father. Shout out to her father. My grandfather was in World War II. So, you know, I know what that means to have a family member that was actually serving our nation and things like that. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, I get it. Real talk. Shout out to her. Shout out to her father. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, sir, for your service. Real talk.
He did that to be accepted here. But some of you guys really think that it's okay to just let people flood our country. People who have absolutely no ambitions, no dream. They're making a shit show. And I don't want that. Sorry, I really don't want that. I don't know if you're going to hate me for this. I really don't care. No, I don't want any illegal immigrants in my country. Sorry. And that's the case in almost every other country.
Yeah, shout out to her. And her, you know what I'm saying, and her family. You know, listen, look, man, this is where we at. And this is something that's not being talked about a lot, that we do have, you know, immigrants that have come over here throughout the decades that came over here legally, and they do have an issue with what just happened throughout the past, you know, 6-7 years here. And I'm gonna give this a range, because, you know what I'm saying, the previous administration just went down and stuff like that, you know, with Biden and things like that. You know what I'm saying? He allowed a lot of illegals to flood the gates and stuff and things like that. These people here have a true issue with this, because, you know what I'm saying, their families came over here the legal way. They went through the process and made sure that they respected us as Americans. They respected America. Sorry, but this is the truth. They respected America, and we can't negate these facts. And I'm sorry, and I want to send my apologies as, you know, a natural born American that's the descendant of slaves and things like that, you know. And I'm not trying to throw that in there just for no, you know, no minor reason, but I get it though. My ancestors have been over here a lot longer, and we were brought over here a different way. All I'm saying is, though, at this point that we're in the 21st century, for these people to come over here and come over here the legal way and be disrespected by our governing body and things like that, and have allowed these illegals to come in just willy-nilly, and they had to pay. They had to sit down. They had to learn the language. They had to learn our culture. They had to go through the process legally in order to be American citizens. And the previous administration just had allowed this shit to go on. Just have allowed all these unnecessary people to come in here. This is a total disrespect to the people that came over here legally. A total disrespect. And I stand behind I stand behind them 100%. They came over here legally, and I understand why they're upset. I understand why they're pissed off with America. I understand why they don't understand what the fuck is going on with our politics now, and I get it. And I'm sorry that y'all going through so much turmoil, and I'm sorry that y'all having to deal with this disrespect that our government is dealing out like a bad hand of cards. I apologize for that. And this is crazy, but it is what it is, though. Shout out to all my subscribers. Mad love to y'all. If you're new to the channel, please hit that like, share, subscribe button. Make sure you ring that bell to be notified whenever I decide to post things. And like I always say,
and that, my friends, is the bottom line.
That, my friends, is the bottom line.